On this episode of China Uncensored, the only place worse than North Korea? Apparently it's China. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. North Korea, not a fun place. We've heard a lot about North Korea, but today you're going to get an insider's view. I sat down with the North Korean defector Yeonmi Park. She and her mother escaped from North Korea when she was 13. But when they got to China, they found life actually got a whole lot worse. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
So you're originally from North Korea. Not a fun place,
Yeah.
right? So what is life like in North Korea?
Oh, I think often I think of North Korea that I do not know how to describe it really because it's almost a different planet. I was born in 1993 and the Soviet Union collapsed right before I was born, and they stopped helping North Korean regime. So consequently North Korea stopped providing food, the ration, to the general public. They did feed elite people, but not the people like us who was normal people. And we were very hungry that we did not know how to find food. And that was just finding anything you can find in the nature. So I was eating grasshoppers, and they're tasty.
Are they?
Yeah, but they're not the dragonfly. I kind of like roasted the head part and ate only head. But yeah, dragonfly is a lot more tastier than that.
Okay. And I know people in North Korea are told a lot of propaganda.
Yeah.
What are they told about their own country?
So it's very easy, like, to imagine George Orwell's 1984. You know, because I was in the countryside, I never allowed to leave the country. There's no internet. We don't have magazines. We don't have anything else except we don't even have advertisement. Everything is a propaganda. So in that world, they tell us that they're our enemies, which is Americans, Japanese, and some Western imperialists. And they are neutral about China sometimes. And they say our enemy is trying to attack us at any point. And if they do, they're gonna eat us all alive, like they are monsters. So we need our dear leader to defend us. So they teach us that how grateful we are that we are safe from our enemies because of our dear leader. And they tell us that we have nothing to envy in this world because we are in the paradise on earth.
Wow. So the horrible, corrupt leaders who are destroying the country, they're portrayed as the only ones keeping you safe. And
he's a god. He's just not a human being.
Wow.
North Korea is one of 10 religions in the world. So I literally thought that Kim Jong-il that was able to read my thoughts.
Really?
Yeah. So even when I escaped to China in this horrible condition, when Chinese people told me, "You're a fat dictator, that's why you're suffering," and I was defending them, like, "What the heck are you talking about?" That
even after you got to China?
Even after I was in China. Wow. Because I thought he was God, that he could read my thoughts. Like a Bible, that your God dies, but his spirit is with you all the time. He knows how many hair you have. He knows what you're thinking. So that's how they brainwash us.
Sounds a little less creepy in the Bible than thinking about Kim Jong-il.
Yeah, I think the first Kim's parents were Christians. I think he did read the Bible, so he copied it. But in North Carolina, if you read the Bible, you're gonna be executed. There's no freedom of religion in any way.
Wow. But as I understand it, you obtained an illegally smuggled copy of Titanic, and that sort of changed things for you.
Yeah. So this black market that people created in the 90s, when the government stopped giving us food, and we had to find a way to survive, and that was black market. And black market did provide us a lot of goods like clothes, food, but they also gave us outside information from China. And this smuggled bootlegged DVD was one of our family members got it and also gave to us. And I saw it along with my parents. And I couldn't just believe that someone could make a movie out of shameful story, like a love story.
Mm.
That nothing in North Korea was dedicated to human story. It is all about revolution. It's all about their leader.
Oh, so specifically because it was about two people who fell in love,
Yeah,
that's what was...
That's such a shameful thing. Like, they don't teach us about Shakespeare. We don't know who's Romeo and Juliet is. Those things are never cherished. So in that society, just seeing a movie was dedicated to people's love story. It made no sense to me. And I think that's when I kind of had some taste of humanity and freedom.
And so eventually you and your mom decided to flee to China. Why did you make that decision?
Because we were hungry. We are very, very hungry. So if we didn't get out that summer, that spring, we knew that we were going to die from starvation. So it was almost like escaping to China was not like we were Googling what was going to happen. If you, in this room, there's a fire, what are you going to do? You have no excuse, you gotta jump off. Even if you survive or not, you have tried the last option that you got. That's why we jumped.
It was that desperate.
Yeah, and that was China.
So how do you make that trek?
We, before I escaped, my sister escaped first at the age of 16 with her friend, and she left me a note. And she told me to find this woman that she found. So after her escape, I found this woman, and she introduced some brokers who was sending us to China.
Okay. And what would have happened if you had gotten caught?
Oh, they would shoot us. That there are every 10 meters wide, there are guards with the guns, like machine guns, they shoot. They don't even like ask you to stop, they just shoot anyone crosses. But this broker who was sending us to China, they bribed the guard on that spot.
And so when you got to China, they welcomed you with open arms?
Oh, yeah, I wish they did. It was actually worse than North Korea.
Worse than North Korea?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was 2007. In March, we crossed the frozen Yalu River to Changbai in like, I think, northeast China. Once we got there, the first thing was, my mother raped by the broker. I was 13, but this broker wanted to sleep with me first.
The same broker that helped you get from North Korea to China?
No, this same broker transferred us to Chinese broker.
Oh, okay.
And that person saying like, I'm going to sleep with her, and that was me. And my mother offered us.
How old were you at the time?
I was 13.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was my introduction to sex, basically. And after she was raped, they told us that if we really want to be in China, remain in China, that we had to be sold to Chinese men. Like, we were like slaves.
So, I know for decades China had the one-child policy, which led to lots of sex-selective abortions and an extreme shortage of women. So, is this what it means for a young North Korean woman?
Yeah, that's my mother was sold for around like $65, and I was sold for $20. I think over $20 because I was a virgin and young.
Wow.
So we had to be separated. They said they could not send us together because they had to pay two people's price. So they were just separating my mother and me and two different men.
So how are North Korean refugees treated in China?
I mean, it's there's no word to describe, They are slaves. They get killed. I mean, the most common thing the Chinese people told me was, even though I kill you right now, no one gonna like send me prison. And they know, even if he kill me, I cannot go to police. I mean, the police, they're gonna send me back to North Korea, which I'm gonna get killed again. So we are like doesn't even worth like a dog. We do not worth anything in China.
So basically, there's no protection from the system, and people just fall through the cracks.
Yeah, these people are taking advantage of on all like vulnerability.
So how did you survive life in China?
So there's a man who bought me. So it's like a whole chain of human trafficking system. So the broker who bought me in the border area sold me to another broker. That broker sold me another broker. And each time I'm being sold, my price goes up.
Goes up?
Yeah, because they bought me like something over $20 and they're gonna sell me something like $500. The next one gonna sell me like $600, something like that. Keep going. They're making profit out of me, selling me. So the eventual broker that sold me that broker also sold my mother, kind of.
Okay.
So, and then they all tried to rape us. I resisted until landing in this last broker, and he was trying to rape me again. And I tried to kill myself. I said, like, I'm gonna just kill myself. And he said, if I become his mistress, that he was going to buy my mother back, because he sold my mom.
Oh.
And he was also going to bring my father from North Korea to me. So I did this, become his mistress.
So that's how your family got reunited.
Yeah, so that's how he brought my sick father from North Korea to China, who eventually died from the cancer he got in the prison camp. And he bought my mom back from the farmer that he sold.
That's an incredible price to pay for that.
Yeah.
Was there any, in interacting with the people you were meeting in China, was there any sense that, like, this might be morally wrong? Like how they were treating you?
The people were?
Yeah, like, did anyone have a problem with what was happening?
No, they were enjoying entire process. It really made me like, I'm like more after entire journey. Obviously, like, I learned how to survive in certain circumstances. But it also like made me to question a lot, like, what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a human, right? The people who, like, I think, I don't know if you have read the book "Men Searching for Meaning," Holocaust survivor. The people who did put the Holocaust was also human, and the ones who suffered also human beings. So unfortunately, they did enjoy the entire thing and our vulnerability.
So what did you learn about being human from this experience?
I guess, I don't know the full extent of it, but I think we are still hopeful. I didn't lose my faith in humanity when I was in China. Because, the first thing that I saw was my mother raped by a man.
Yeah.
And after that, every man that I met was trying to rape me. All they cared was raping us. How can I view them other than, like, worse than animals?
Yeah.
Right? But after that, I met also incredible people who, showed me love and even gave me this platform to speak about my experience, and who cares about what's happening in North Korea. So I think life is never that black and white. Fortunately enough, I think.
I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Like, me living in New York, if the subways are messed up, the world is a horrible, dark place.
Yeah.
But you still find hope in all that.
No, I think that's what I'm very grateful that I get to have this perspective. If I wasn't born in North Korea, I might not even, know how grateful I am to be free. So I think that's why in my book I say there are two things that I'm most grateful for. And one is that I was born in North Korea.
Wow.
The second one is that I escaped. Because, I'm very thankful that I was born in North Korea.
Oh, that's not what I would have imagined hearing.
No.
And so when you were in China, you connected with a group of Christians, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're another very persecuted group inside of China.
Yeah.
So what was that?
So there are missionaries from South Korea working with some Korean ethnic Chinese for us to be rescued from them was that we had to believe in God. So I really was wondering, like, why I gotta believe something all the time to survive? You know, I literally escaped the dictator Kim, and they say if you wanna be safe and go to South Korea, you gotta believe in God and Jesus Christ. I did become a believer, and they told us how to go through Mongolia. They did not like rescue us, but they told us how to go there, which means was that crossing the Gobi Desert with one compass.
Not an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
But that was the last option that we had, and
because for you, China was actually worse
than any place.
North Korea.
Yeah, I think living life without dignity. I think I did not even have a concept of human rights or dignity, but I knew that's not how. It's not just right to sell human beings. I knew that that's not something I deserved. And I think I was ready to kill myself, to die, that if I can live like a human being.
So how did you go from North Korea to your ultimate destination?
So initially I escaped to China. After 2 years of slavery, I crossed Gobi Desert to Mongolia. So in Mongolia, I was rescued by South Korean government, and they took me to South Korea. And that was my freedom moment. And from South Korea to America was less dramatic. I came here to study and write a book. So, and then I'm residing here.
And you ended up marrying one of those American bastards.
I know.
Did you ever think that would be possible?
No, not in my dreams. Still, it's very surreal for us. Just like, how did that just happen, you know? And I think that's why you gotta be hopeful. Life is a miracle. You never know where the hope is coming. Yeah.
So now you're living in the United States. What are you doing to raise awareness about the plight of North Koreans, either in North Korea or in China? Because I don't think a lot of people know what the China factor in this problem.
Right. Which is China is the most important factor when it comes to North Korea. So I was fortunate enough to write a book. And what I'm grateful about that book is actually it's translated to Taiwanese. So it's been circulated in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, all those regions that near China.
Region/country.
I know, yes. Regions, of course, there are amazing countries. And I am grateful that somehow maybe the people from mainland go out and get to hear the story. So I also hear from people in China that they are very sorry what we are experiencing. So I think that that's also hopeful, you know, that we share the humanity. Even though my China experience wasn't the sweetest, and I still love Chinese people. I just don't like the regime, the policy they have towards this disadvantaged people. So I think my job is really letting the world know how Chinese regime is sponsoring this concentration camp, the biggest concentration camp that we can have as a humanity. And also I give speeches, I go to college campuses or students anywhere that people want to hear what's happening in North Korea and to the people, that I just go anywhere.
And one final question. At the end of Titanic, don't you think there was room for both Jack and Rose on that floating door?
I wish. I know. I wish he was alive in that movie, but I don't know. Maybe it's too sad. I still don't want to see the ending. You know. In my dream, I was like, okay, he's alive. They were in love.
Happily ever after.
Yeah, they had the kids and they were fine. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful to hear your story.
Thank you so much.
And I definitely feel like if you can go through that and find hope in life, then all of us should be able to.
No, yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, sorry to say, that's the end of another China Uncensored. But this isn't goodbye. Hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you know when we have more episodes. And more episodes we will have. A new one comes out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and sometimes Saturday.